I was very confused. Everything was very black and white when I was younger. It was sort of more in the means of, well, you're this or you're that, you're good or you're bad. And it was, I didn't feel that it was that easy for me because I knew that I was more than one background. My family's got a lot of painful background. They were abused a lot. Like they were taken to residential schools, and there was a lot of physical abuse, mental abuse, and they were stripped and washed of their culture. Because of that, there was a lot of drugs and alcoholism, and so I wasn't exactly proud. I wasn't proud of my family. One particular uncle, my Uncle Jamie, unfortunately, he just happened to sort of really fall. His spirit was damaged a lot in his past. You know, he didn't have a way to let go of any of his pain, so he did a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol. He was a junkie. You know, anything he could get his hands on is what he did, and it was all over his face. You could see the amount of pain that it was everywhere. He was a very sad and a scary looking guy. He was scary looking. Because of my skin tone, it was constantly verbally expressed with me how much, you know, how dirty Native people were, how drunk they are, how bad they are. You know, and these are things I heard all the time because, I mean, my skin color's, it's pale, my hair color's red, it's curly, it's wavy, and so a lot of times, you know, I'll be like, no, you're one of us, look at those Indians. And it was hard. And so I was ashamed to admit to these people, you know, at such a young age that, well, that's part of who I am. That's me. I was afraid to tell them that I was, or I am, that I'm Native, because I was afraid. I was afraid that they would think the same of me. That I'm a chug, you know, that I'm gonna grow up to drink and be on welfare, and live on Skid Row. That was the stereotype. We were on the bus, and my uncle happened to be there on the bus, and we were coming back from a field trip, and he was on on the side, and we all sat in the back. And I remember everyone that was on that bus, everyone was laughing at him, you know, some people were poking at him because he looked like he was passed out in his seat. His head was down. He had a pair of sunglasses on because he had big bruises in his face, a lot of scars on his face, lots of scars. He looked like your typical Hastings bum. You know, he smelt really bad, and all of these people, including my teacher, were making remarks about this guy. And, you know, the kids were all like, oh, he's an Indian. That's what Indians look like. And I remember feeling inside, I was like, what? You know, I felt like I was torn. I wanted to tell them that he was my uncle, but I was afraid to. I didn't know what judgment they would put on me if I did that. I didn't know what to say to these people. And I remember feeling a lot of humiliation and a lot of pain inside, because I knew that he was awake when these people were laughing at him and poking at him. And I was young. I didn't know what to say to them. So I was in this situation where I thought to myself, what do I do? This is my uncle. These are my friends, and I didn't understand why my teacher was allowing this to happen. And inside, I was full of a lot of rage and confusion, and I started to cry, and I didn't know what to say to my teacher, but I just said to them, you know, this is my uncle. And I was like, don't poke at him, don't tease him. This is my family. And I said, if you do this to him, I said, I didn't know what to say to them. I just was like, you leave him alone. Like, he's gone through a lot, and I don't want you to do that. And my uncle started to cry, and he was drunk, and he was just like, right on, Michelle. He started to laugh. I just felt this sort of this, I felt this really horrible but yet comforting sort of understanding inside. This was my time where I had to say, I had to stand up for myself and say this. And at that given moment, I knew who I was. I know who I am. I'm multiracial, and that was my moment that I had to accept that, and I had to accept my heritage, and I had to accept who I was, that I'm Native, Scottish, and Irish. Me.